a lot of determination. So it was that determination and that willing spirit, that winning spirit really, that is the great story of the Transcontinental Railroad, the driving of the Golden Spike in Promontory, Utah. So this locomotive wasn't even conceived of back in those days. The locomotives were really small. You think about how America traveled by horseback, walking, and wagons. All your worldly possessions, months and months and months traveling. You might not even survive the journey. So the Transcontinental Railroad completely changed that, completely changed everything in our world today. So this locomotive, 1941, the railroad had a pretty significant problem on their hands. Their railroad was already at capacity. They already made 2 sets of tracks, and even 2 sets of tracks wasn't enough to handle the volume of traffic. So they were double heading, so that means they were using 2 steam locomotives. Well, that's really inefficient because you've got 2 crews and you've got all the complexity of 2 engines. So they wanted to design 1 single locomotive that could do the work of 2. So you got 1 crew, alleviate all the logistics of all that, and this is what they designed, the big boy. They didn't design it to be a world's largest engine. They didn't design it to have a title or to set a record. They needed it because they absolutely needed to have a machine like this. So over the years, these things ran for 17 years, from 1941 until 1959. 17 of them have been scrapped and 8 of them remain. And this is the last surviving example of one that operates.
It must be extraordinary for you to be able to take it on its last tour.
It's not on its last tour. This is its first tour.
First tour, okay.
Yes. Yeah, for 52 years, this locomotive sat in a museum in California.
Will we park after this?
No, absolutely not. We just got through restoring it back on May 2nd. It moved itself for the first time, so we could begin testing it. And just a few hours, 48 hours later, we took it on its maiden journey, which was to celebrate the 150th anniversary of the driving of the Golden Spike in Promontory, Utah. So we had a big celebration in Utah. Then we took it on a really big trip up to Duluth, Minnesota, and to Chicago. And this is its last trip for this year, where we've already been out to Salt Lake City, Los Angeles, and now we're coming back down. We're kind of Kansas City and eventually down to Colorado.